Have you ever wondered about the mystery that is ZOEY'S past in K-pop Demon Hunters, and how is she connected to the Sunlight Sisters? If you ever felt divided between those two words, this video will open your mind and help you see K-pop Demon Hunters in a totally different way. Are you ready? So let's go! Hey beautiful people, I'm Julie, and dude, I'm on an almost impossible mission here, analyzing each and every detail about ZOEY in this movie, like the lyrics she sings in the golden, hidden notes, and details that went by. And dude, I think we slept on some facts here because the story always showed us some hidden details about ZOEY's stories in a sneaky way. They reveal a family secret so tragic that will make you rethink each scene. A story that, in my opinion, it's the most emotional and tragic one in the whole movie. For starters, ZOEY is a Korean-American teenager who grew up in California and went to Korea afterwards. In the song Golden, she sings, "I lived two lives, tried to play both sides, but I couldn't find my own place." And here, most people must have thought that she has some sort of identity crisis because she's half American and half Korean. And yes, that makes a lot of sense, but when I started to analyze this clip scene by scene, I realized something way beyond that. Actually, there are three different meanings for the line "lived two lives," and each one of them represents a layer of the trauma she carries since young age. And to make things worse, these three traumas have that same origin, a hidden family secret. The first meaning would be her identity and cultural crisis, something that has experienced since she was a kid. How many times she must have felt too Korean in the US and too American in Korea. A mental pain that she couldn't take anymore. Adapt her behavior, language, and even her posture to fit in each place, while neither felt like their true home. So she grew up with two languages, two cultures, and no sense of belonging. The second meaning has to do with her parents' divorce, a tough situation to deal with, even more if you're just a kid, and as I suppose was ZOEY's case. And notice that during this line, we see ZOEY being pulled to opposite sides by two hands, a male hand and a female hand, and it's the literal representation of her family situation, splitting up. Now, she must have felt obligated to live different versions of herself to please both of her parents. And a detail few people noticed, while she's being pulled, a magazine she was holding fell on the ground. And this magazine had the Sunlight Sisters in it, and that sparked something inside her. What if this divorce happened because of some supernatural cause? Something that her mother did from his dad, and that broke them up. Imagine if ZOEY's mother was once a shaman that was involved in the demons and spiritual battles, and out of nowhere insists on her husband and daughter to move to the US. Almost like if ZOEY's mother was running from her past. Something that I'll talk about later in this video. And well, besides this feeling of being out of place, ZOEY now carries a weight of having a broken family due to a divorce, forcing her to choose a side. And dude, people who have their parents divorced know how hard it is. Being split down to different worlds, stuck in the middle of a fight that you don't really know if it was your fault. Comment down below if you felt that way or still feels that way, and if you relate to the character of ZOEY, because I'm sure that for those who lived moments like that, you know exactly what ZOEY went through. Now, the third meaning of this line in Golden is like if ZOEY was hearing the call of the supernatural, and that she doesn't understand of how to explain it all the time. Like, what if this line, "I lived two lives, tried to play both sides," was also about the weight of having a double life, where one is about fighting the supernatural, and what if ZOEY already had the skill of a hunter way before the Huntrix? The movie never explained us why Celine recruited ZOEY, but maybe she realized herself that she was a hunter. Right at the beginning of the movie, when she was still in school, probably in high school, we see in her notebook a drawing of what it seems to be a demon or a weird creature. But under this notebook, she has two magazines, one with the Sunlight Sisters on the cover and another that, although we can see it all, seems to have the title "Kill Demons." And if you're smart, you must have noticed that nowadays, no one seems to notice the demons or the Honmoon, only the hunters can. This suggests that ZOEY already already knew about this occult spiritual world, but didn't understand it. So that's why she was carrying magazines about killing demons and the Sunlight Sisters, as if it was some sort of charm for her, something that made her understand why she was so different from other people. And with a quick search, I found out that this feeling of living two lives worlds is called Shinbeyong, basically a spiritual distress, something common among Korean shamans. And as the movie uses moondangs as inspirations, it's worth to mention that in Korean shamanism, there are two types of shamans. The hereditary ones called shamu, who get their powers by inheriting it from their families, like it was in their DNA. And there's also the god descendant called Kam Shimu, who are chosen by the spirits as some sort of special supernatural gift. Now, you're asking yourself, why the hell am I talking about that? So, my friends, what if Zoe's mother was one of the Solar Sisters? That would explain why Zoe was born with a natural spiritual gift, his family heirloom, which came through blood, passed on to the next generation. Crazy, right? Because then we would be able to understand why Zoe's mother tried to hide her daughter from the world, trying to suppress as much as possible her spiritual gifts, keeping her away from this so-called spiritual world, just like Elsa from Frozen. Even though she was away from the spirits, she still hears the deceased mother, something that was within her, and that sooner or later would make Elsa seek their true identity. And here the same thing happened to Zoe. She carried her mother's calling, which tried to silence her but without success. She dreamed of things that she didn't understand, felt something towards symbolism and weird rituals, and lived with this feeling that something was pulling her somewhere. Meanwhile, her mother was trying everything to shut this down. And what makes this theory even more believable is Zoe's hairstyle compared with the third sister's one, which is also a double bun. And well knowing this animation, I doubt this is by chance. And if you agree with me, leave a like in this video because now I'll show you the connection between Zoe and the third member. Remember that scene from the clip of Golden where the Sunlight Sisters magazine fails due to the hands pulling Zoe? That was a hint that she wasn't a fan of the trio. No, actually, the third Solar Sister might have been Zoe's mother. Think about it. What if after the tragedy that split the group, the third sister decided to go to America to get rid of this spiritual world and also the guilt she felt of witnessing Rumi's mother death and not being able to do anything, feeling responsible for not protecting her sister? Then she would start a regular life in California, trying to form a normal family, but the weight of her past, the guilt, and the fear that her daughter would someday suffer the same destiny as her friend corrupted her mind and ended up destroying her marriage. Once her husband, Zoe's father, noticed this weird behavior she had, but as she never answered his questions properly nor shared anything about her past, both decided to go separate ways. And dude, this explains Zoe's parents' divorce. It wasn't just that they were no match, but that she had a mother who wasn't able to tell who she really was. And when you analyze this, you'll see that the timeline is spot on, since we had the Sunlight Sisters running for about 25 years ago. Then, after Rumi's mother death, which would have made Zoe's mother run away, and now Zoe is in the Huntrix, with her 21 to 22 years old. And that's why Celine looked for Zoe. She recognized the Shinbeyong and her daughter and the third sister, who now is missing. And then we go back to the scene where the magazine, which breaks our hearts. When Zoe is pulled by both sides and lets the magazine split, she truly loses the connection she had with her family. And the thing that I found most ironic in that, at the end of the movie, she finds this connection again by becoming a demon hunter, something that her mother tried to keep away from her from the beginning. She resolved these three variations of the line "live both lives," creating the purpose that joins her American raising, Korean in heritage, and the call of the supernatural in only one identity. Basically, she solved all her problems at once. Now Zoe, who felt like a stray cat between those two families, finally realizes she was born to be the connection between those two worlds, the spiritual and the real one. And if you ever felt divided between those two worlds and tried to piece piece your story together, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and hit that bell button because Zoe's journey show us that in the end, we're the bridge that connects everything. And if someone doubts that, just say this. Hasta la vista.